After a few weeks of Team J&J being split up, they were finally back together, hardly a weekend in, and it had already been a long week. They'd just shown up to the third strange murder, same signature every time, burn marks along the temples, faint chemical residue, and now, for the first time, that orange mist still hanging in the air when they arrived. The kind of case that makes everyone pretend they don't see what they're seeing. Julio and Jordan pulled their gear from the trunk, trading that half-tired, half-wired look that said they'd done this too many times already. They connected to the Sense 3.5D units, those hybrid rigs that read scent, temperature, and trace data through a direct neural link. The machines recognized their biosignatures with a quiet hum, and the link settled in like a second heartbeat. Sense 3.5D wasn't just another scanner anymore. It pulled smells from everything: air particles, carpet fibers, gunpowder ghosts, skin oils, and reconstructed the crime scene in full sensory depth. Years ago, people joked it was just elephant and dog noses mixed with AI. Not anymore. Now it was practically clairvoyant. Outside the cordon, the city kept moving like nothing happened. Drones screamed overhead in controlled chaos. Magnet grid lanes stacked 5 high, flashing red, blue, and green for different clearance levels. Civilians had to ride the grid's rhythm, but cops like Julio and Jordan got individualized detour routes spun up on the fly. Every time the system recognized their badges, ads would vanish, traffic would part, and the grid would carve them a shortcut that didn't technically exist. Convenient, sure, but creepy when you thought too long about who else could flip that switch. Jordan smirked. Remember when this thing couldn't even tell the difference between barbecue sauce and blood? Julio laughed, adjusting the interface over his temple. Yeah, but it still can't tell the difference between your wife's burnt cooking. Jordan grinned. Funny. Maybe you should invite us over to your place for once. Save us both from your sister's lasagna. Julio snorted. Yeah. Tell her it's her turn to take Dad to the doctor. I need a break. The two of them focused as the orange mist flickered through the feed, an ethereal haze coiling out of a ceiling vent, pulsing once, then retreating back up like it realized it was being watched. Jordan locked onto it fast, fingers steady over the controls. But just as he tried to trace the motion, the system glitched, an overload, static shimmering across the interface. Damn it, he muttered, tapping the visor. It won't lock again. The mist's moving on its own. Julio leaned in closer to the live feed, the orange glow reflecting off his cheek. Yeah, looks like this week just got longer. Back at the station, the alert pings through. Report to the morgue. No explanation, no chain of command message. Just coordinates and a neat little need-to-know tag blinking at the bottom of the screen. They expect the coroner, maybe a fed. Instead, there's a guy neither of them has ever officially met, though both swear they've seen him wandering the halls before. Clipboard, neutral tone, the kind of man who doesn't bother introducing himself right away. You'll need to sign these, he says, handing them 2 slim tablets. Classification level 5, I Delta 7. Julio raises an eyebrow. That kind of sounds real. The stranger doesn't blink. That's why you'll keep this off his radar. Hope you weren't actually trying to lie last time. He scans their badges himself before either can respond. The tablets blink green in sync. That's when they learn his code name, Mantis, the rumored tech guy from downstairs. The one wrapped in too many NDAs, who supposedly wrote half the city's surveillance protocols before breakfast. Jordan glances at Julio. What was that about you ever meeting him before? Julio smirks. Might have exaggerated a coughing fit one time and commandeered his Dr. Sport, the new super one, from the work fridge. Didn't know it came with its own clearance level. I just wanted to try it and was going to replace it with 2 later either way. For a split second, Mantis almost smiles, the faintest crack in the marble. The morgue hums around them. Sterile lights, polished tile. The faint buzz of disinfectant drones drifting past. The air feels too cold for this early in the day, and somewhere down the hall, a fan ticks like it's timing their patience. Jordan catches Julio's smirk in the reflection of a steel drawer and shakes his head. The day's only half over, and somehow it already feels like it's running long. The place is colder than usual, humming with equipment that doesn't belong to any local department. They sign more forms, most of them blacked out, before anyone even unzips the first body bag. Inside lies a man, mid-30s, temple burns exactly 2 fingers wide. Same pattern, same faint orange shimmer under the ultraviolet. A techie, someone mentions. Worked security for a government subcontractor once involved in memory vault development, the experimental kind that supposedly got banned a decade ago. Someone else in the room whispers the word glamour drive, half joking, like it's an old Hollywood rumor. Mantis doesn't laugh. You shouldn't use that word, he says quietly. It was discontinued for a reason. Julio leans against the counter, watching frost gather along the metal edge. So the rumor's real? You're telling me someone out there's still running brain drive tech? Mantis looks up from the tablet, the glow from the readouts tracing across his glasses. Someone, he says. Or something. The hum of refrigeration fills the silence that follows. Jordan exhales through his nose, the breath fogging faintly in the cold. Mantis holds up the old-school vid glasses like they're evidence from another century. Here's your brief, he says, after I destroy the vid glasses. They look like something from a forgotten tech museum. Thick frame, single lens design, no wireless ports, no interface links. Julio squints. Guess this could have just been an email? No reaction. Not even a smirk. The glasses are the kind you have to load yourself. Whatever's on them is all you get. Jordan spins them once between his fingers. I think I saw a pair of these at a yard sale when I was a kid. The vid boots up in silence. A quick burst of static followed by a montage. News clippings, old talk show segments, movie trailers, fragments of recorded headlines stitched together like a fever dream. The narration explains how memory implants once recorded every lived experience as encrypted life logs. Access was supposed to be limited, heavily regulated. Everyone remembers the horror stories, the almost scary as real life kind, from before the bans came down. You can still find things on the deep web, but mostly from places with no oversight. Getting caught with a bad upgrade back then was a career-ending offense. Maybe worse. Which of course only made them more valuable. Government agencies, corporate security divisions, even private collectors found ways to hide classified archives inside people's minds. Entire vaults of information disguised as memories, locked to the host's neural ID. Supposedly impossible to access, even for the person carrying it. That's what the paperwork says anyway. The government's zero-tolerance stance is legendary. Automatic removal, hard jail time, even possession counts if they scan and find one. Illegal LoJack versions still float around, but they're clunky, nothing close to the original tech. Too many variables from person to person. Too unpredictable to standardize. The feed ends abruptly, 3 seconds flat. Julio presses his temples. Did I just get a history class crammed into my brain? Jordan just stares, blinking. Wow, that was intense. Totally old information, sure, but still, wow. Mantis calmly takes the glasses, slides them into a small thermal case he's apparently been holding the whole time. Yeah, he mutters. They're both compatible. Jordan blinks. What? Before he can ask again, Mantis drops the thermocase into a nearby disposal can. A deep, bass-heavy pulse rolls through the room, something they feel more than hear. Every fluorescent light flickers once, then steadies. Julio glances around, uneasy. Jordan exhales, still trying to shake the vibration out of his chest. Whatever that was, it's gone now, but the silence it leaves behind feels heavier than before. The ride back is quiet, but not awkward. The hum of the magnetic lane fills the car, steady as a heartbeat. Drone lights streak overhead in green and violet blurs, reflecting off the windshield. Neither of them says it, but both are thinking the same thing. Whatever's happening isn't standard protocol. Julio taps his finger against the console. You notice how he didn't even tell us where the footage came from? Just handed it over and nuked the hardware. Jordan nods slowly. Yeah. And those clearance levels? I didn't even know we had a Delta 7. The silence stretches again. The grid reroutes them automatically, flashing a private detour across the dashboard, a little perk of being cops in a city that mostly runs itself. Julio exhales. Man, if this turns out to be another Ghost Protocol case, I'm putting in for desk work. Jordan cracks a grin, but it fades quick. You wouldn't last 2 days behind a desk. They're halfway through their coffees when the next call comes in. A late-night robbery gone wrong. Stabbing. By the time they arrive, cruisers line both sides of the street, red and blue lights pulsing over rain-slick glass. Julio whistles low. I know this is a nice neighborhood, but this feels like overkill for a mugging. Jordan flashes his badge at the nearest uniform. What's the story? The officer shifts uneasily. Victim's one of ours, sort of? Julio frowns. Sort of? Tech division, downstairs. Name hasn't been cleared yet. Julio and Jordan exchange a look. That's all it takes. The same department, same odd timing, same residue creeping back into their week. The alley behind the storefront is narrow and washed in neon runoff. Evidence markers blink through the puddles, each one reflected like a glitch in the rain. Julio looks at the tarp, then back at Jordan. You thinking what I'm thinking? Jordan adjusts his jacket against the wind. Yeah, he says quietly. And I hope we're both wrong.
Mac Movement Brainfire. Original stories that blur satire, sci-fi, and fantasy, told through lo-fi AI narration and raw imagination. 8 worlds, 1 vault, Mirror Between Us, Woolly Rabbits, Nurse Mystic, Galactic Tournament, The Replacements, Trace 3.5D, World Without Legacy, and Slip. Not AI slop, real ideas voiced by AI. If it made you think or laugh, hit like, subscribe, and join the chaos. Mac Movement, Brainfire, Pitchforks and Epiphanies, original fiction, AI art, DIY series, sci-fi, fantasy.
Their fears are confirmed. It's him, Mantis, the same man who'd cleared their files, the quiet one from downstairs, the only person they knew with higher clearance than the captain, well, other than them now. They go through the full procedure anyway. Evidence sweeps, timeline reconstructions, footage requests. Every system gives them the same answer, restricted access. Every question they ask gets rerouted to someone who doesn't exist. No one says much after that. You can feel the air thinning around them, the kind of silence that sits heavy and doesn't leave. Now the two of them outrank everyone they work with. They can't talk to command, can't loop in the captain, can't even mention what clearance they've been granted. They're ghosts walking the same halls they used to joke in. Julio leans back in his chair, the glow from the board reflecting off his eyes. You think someone's picking them off for money? Payback? Retribution? Or just the classic government secrets from non-existent people kind of deal? Jordan doesn't answer right away. He just stares at the screen, Mantis's ID photo still pinned to the center, the timestamp burned into memory. Finally, he says, almost to himself, and why the hell would he have one of those brain boosters? The question hangs there, unanswered, humming in the cold light of the evidence room. The precinct hum has gone quiet by the time they make it back to their desks. Julio is mid-sip of cold coffee when his terminal pulses to life. The monitor flickers once, then stabilizes as Echo, his low-profile AI assistant, fades in. No avatar, just a soft heartbeat of light. Echo's voice comes through, steady and synthetic. I started running recursive scans on national SIM servers, looking for resource spikes that don't match user activity patterns. Julio squints. Translation? Someone's burning through terabytes of simulated sensory data, Echo says. No active sessions tied to it. Ghost traffic. Jordan leans back, arms crossed. Memory echoing. Exactly, Echo replies. The spikes are coming from a legacy node under an old... The voice cuts off mid-sentence. The feed dies. 3 a.m. Jordan still can't sleep. Every time he shuts his eyes, he dreams he is the signal. Dispersed, weightless, drifting like the fog he keeps pretending isn't in his head. He dreams he's the orange mist. When the ping finally comes through, he's already half awake, half expecting it. Echo, found something. Meet Julio outside. He's already on the way. He grabs his badge and jacket, the room still humming with the aftertaste of that dream. Outside, the rain slowed to a mist. Julio's parked by the curb in a marked squad car, engine idling low, both their Sense 3.5D rigs stacked neatly in the back seat, along with a trunk full of just-in-case gear. Jordan opens the door and raises a brow. Not a little much for a couple of brain snappers? Julio doesn't look up as he adjusts the visor feed. This smells like some deep-op military-ish. Jordan slides in, shuts the door, and the city noise fades behind them. Whatever they're driving into, it's not standard procedure anymore.